ABC 10 meteorologist Brenden Mincheff here because I want to talk to you about the drought and La Nina and El Nino and how that impacts our rainfall that we typically see in the winter year. So let's go ahead and get into it, starting with the drought as of August 20th. So it's not good. There's too many colors on this map, but I mean, we're kind of used to that, right? We're always in a drought, it seems nowadays. 54% of the state, again, as of August 20th, is in that severe drought category, that orange color here. 27% in the extreme drought category. That's the lighter red. This includes areas like Los Angeles, Sacramento, Redding, and then the exceptional drought, really with the bullseye in Fresno right now, 17% of the state in that highest level category. Now, I think the question on all of our minds is, are we going to see more rain this winter? Of course, we can't say exactly like, oh, we're going to see this much rain. It's going to happen here. It's going to happen at this time. Can't say that. But what we can kind of say is an overall outlook is if we can expect or maybe hope for an above average season or below average season. And a lot of that has to do with the El Nino Southern Oscillation. INSO is another way to look at that. So in normal years, in an average typical year, INSO neutral is what we've got. The trade winds are here with these white arrows, the equator, that blue line there. And what typically happens is you have a current that kind of runs in a counterclockwise rotation, right? So we've got this current pushing from east to west, and we've got some cooler water off the coast of South America, warmer water out over the central and western Pacific. That's what we have typically. In an El Nino year, which is not what we have right now, but in an El Nino year, what happens is the trade winds are a lot weaker. So that current actually reverses flow and pushes a lot of that warmer water back towards the coast of South America, forcing the cooler water to stay down towards the southern tip of South America. What does that do for us in North America? Well, that's typically when we have our above average rainfall seasons from Sacramento down towards Southern California and across really the southern portion of the United States. Sometimes it's a bit drier in the middle part of the United States and warmer for the Mountain West and Pacific Northwest. As that polar jet, it's typically forced to stay a little bit closer to Canada, keeping that coolest air up here and the warmer air, the wetter air down towards the south. So an El Nino year is typically where we can say that winter is when we'll see an above average winter in terms of precipitation. Not always, but typically. That's El Nino. What we're in right now is La Nina. And so what happens is the trade winds are actually stronger. So that current is a lot stronger. It pushes that warmer water even further to the west and brings that cooler water all the way up the coast of South America and even out into the open Pacific a little bit. What that does for us in North America typically keeps us drier, especially in Southern California. As you can see here, that purple is that drier section. In the southeastern United States, it can also typically be a warmer year, but that polar jet comes a little bit further to the south. It's allowed to, it has a little more variable. It doesn't have to stay up there in the northern United States and Canada. And so that means we can get a wetter and colder winter for portions of the northern United States, the Great Lakes region, and sometimes the Northeast as well. Same in the Pacific Northwest. For us here in Northern California, it can be a toss-up year. So under La Nina conditions, which is what we've had the last 3 years, it looks like we could be in a 50-50 kind of spot in terms of precip. That's typical for a La Nina year. And as you can see with these model runs, right now we're here and we're definitely in La Nina conditions. Out in the future, maybe once we get towards February, March, we could see that shift a little bit to more of an INSO neutral instead of La Nina. But again, that doesn't mean we're going to see that rainfall. It could stay right near average. We need the rain. Of course, we always need the rain. Now is totally the wrong time of year to ask for the rain. Our average to date for the month of August is 0.02 of an inch of rain, so it's no surprise we haven't seen any. Now, Sacramento's done all right this water year from October 1st to September 30th. We've done all right so far. We're only 1.5 inches behind where we typically would be, but that's because we had that one big storm last fall. Just to the south in Stockton, they've only had 9.81 inches of rain, whereas Sacramento's had over 16.5 inches of rain. That's a big difference over not a lot of miles, and it gets even worse. So this is statewide precip. This is total precip since October 1st. When we put on how far below where we normally should be, that's where we really see those numbers start to pop. Sacramento 1.5 inches below, but Redding 14 inches below where they normally would be. Stockton 3.5 inches below. Fresno 4.5 inches below where they should be. Santa Barbara down in Southern California, now we're talking 6.5 inches below. Los Angeles almost 2 inches below. Palm Springs, San Diego, very similar stories there. So we need the precip. This is why we're in that drought, and in some cases that exceptional drought category, especially towards Fresno. In fact, 2022 is on pace to be the driest driest year on record in California, and 9 of the last 12 years in California have seen below average precipitation totals. That is why drought is such a constant in our lives right now. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to necessarily have an above average next 3 months. So September, October, November in terms of rainfall. Of course, this is on average. We could have one storm dump a bunch of water and that's it. We don't see anything else. This is just an outlook, but it will likely be drier across much of the central portion of the United States. The only places where it's likely going to be wetter, state of Florida, and then also in the Pacific Northwest. So it's kind of a toss-up, as again is expected in a La Nina year here in Northern California. Now, recently Californians were asked what they see as the most important environmental issue facing the state right now, and understandably and perhaps predictably, we said the drought. Take a look.
The top mention this year, as it was last year, is the drought. This year, 30% said the drought, and there's nothing that came close to that.
That was Mark Baldessari, the President and Survey Director for the Public Policy Institute of California. He's talking to us about the recent survey done by the PPIC, trying to gauge Californians' positions on our parched state. And perhaps unsurprisingly, a lot of people said it's a major problem.
About 2/3 of Californians said that it's a big problem where they live now. And that was a major increase from even last year when people were saying we have a problem with water supply and the drought. About 40% of the people said that they feel like they've been doing, a lot around their household to reduce water use.
So some are taking action at home to conserve water. But direction from state and local governments is key, though many people surveyed feel that government isn't doing enough. This comes on the heels of the last drought, when Californians felt the government was doing too much. So what is it that people want to see from their government?
I think that people are very open to seeing plans and policies that make sure that we're going to have enough water, not just for the here and now, but for the future. This is why issues like, what are we going to do about the Colorado River? What are we going to do about the Delta? That people are looking for plans that involve not just now, but the future. Maybe infrastructure, maybe with all the federal money coming in, that we do a better job of building water storage or using water storage underground. But people are looking for long-term big solutions, given the extent to which they see this a problem, not just today, but something that they've experienced a few years ago, and they're concerned that they're going to see in the future.